The story opens with two robbers being chased by the police. One of them is already dying, but the main character, known only as the driver, refuses to give up. Instead of surrendering, he decides to make a desperate escape by crossing the Mexican border. The problem is, police cars are already waiting on the other side. Strangely enough, rather than changing his route, the driver commits to the plan. His car slams into the border wall and flips over.
Stop bleeding on the money!
Since the robbery took place in the United States, he should have been handed back to American authorities. At first, a Mexican police officer named Vasquez agrees with that idea. Everything changes when Vasquez sees the car filled with cash. Suddenly, he insists on taking over the case, especially since the area falls under his control. It quickly becomes clear that Vasquez is corrupt. To keep the stolen money for himself, he and his fellow officers frame the driver and throw him into a Mexican prison on fabricated charges.
You're corrupt. We're corrupt. You're a piece of shit, Vasquez.
Hey, what they do? Rob a bank?
You figure it out, genius.
Surprisingly, the driver does not seem angry or upset. He stays calm and even feels relieved, because at least now he knows who has his money. All that remains is figuring out how to take it back. This is where his real fight begins. Welcome to Get the Gringo. Before being locked up for good, the new inmates are gathered to receive a brief orientation from the prison warden. During this moment, a man from the embassy named Jack keeps a close eye on the driver. It is unclear whether he is there to help or simply looking for personal gain.
You report an American citizen. That's a serious offense, Armando.
Soon enough, the prisoners are sent inside. This is where things get strange. The place barely resembles a prison at all. There are no cells and no strict routines. Inmates move freely, men and women live together, and the entire place functions like a small city. Shops operate openly, and even drugs are sold without hiding. The driver quickly realizes that surviving here requires money.
Is this a prison or the world's shittiest mall?
Not long after, he spots a powerful inmate wearing a gold watch, an obvious sign of status and an ideal target. When the moment is right, the driver attacks him in the restroom and robs him.
Holy Rolex.
Instead of taking the man's weapon, he hides it above the bathroom ceiling. Since there are no cells, inmates without money are forced to sleep on the floor that night, including the driver. The next morning, the new prisoners are sent to work at a garbage dump. What makes the situation even more unsettling is the presence of several young children living inside the prison. Not long after, the driver is suddenly approached by a corrupt police officer and two of his partners. They forcefully take his blood, leaving one big question unanswered. What is it for? After spending several hours inside the prison, the driver finally realizes that this place is not truly run by the warden. Someone far more powerful has bribed their way to the top and turned the prison into a personal kingdom. To uncover the truth, he knows he will need both time and money. To avoid being sent to the garbage dump every morning, the driver bribes the guards. To earn extra cash, he sets his sights on robbing a shop that openly sells drugs. The key to any successful robbery is distraction. Quietly, the driver sprays a flammable liquid inside a portable toilet. As soon as the fire breaks out, panic spreads and people scatter. That chaos gives him the perfect opening to strike. Unfortunately, the robbery is not flawless because someone witnesses the whole thing. The witness turns out to be a 10-year-old boy named Hernandez. Keeping him quiet is surprisingly easy, since all he asks for is a single cigarette.
You probably want me to keep my mouth shut.
Cigarette.
While it feels like a small act of blackmail, the driver actually benefits from the boy's presence, because Hernandez knows everything about how the prison works. Hernandez explains that inmates' families are allowed to live inside the prison as long as they pay tribute. That is why so many children are there, including him. Before they can talk any further, Hernandez is suddenly called away by his mother. The next day, Jack finally pays a visit. He is deeply curious about how an American citizen like the driver ended up in a Mexican prison. Even more unsettling, the authorities still do not know the driver's real name. Stranger still, none of his fingertips have fingerprints. No matter how much pressure he faces, the driver refuses to speak.
You don't have any fingerprints. You're not gonna tell me. That's all right. And I'm gonna find out what it is.
What do you want?
To avoid sleeping on the streets at night, the driver meets with the prison's property boss and rents a bed. For the first time in a long while, he gets to enjoy a real mattress. Meanwhile, the madness of this prison continues. That night, the guards gather to gamble, surrounded by selected women. This weekly event is organized by the prison's ruler, Javi, as entertainment for the warden. In a cruel twist, Hernandez's mother is one of the women involved. The driver cannot stop staring at her until he is suddenly slapped hard, bringing him back to reality.
What the fuck are you looking at?
The next morning, while studying the layout of the prison, the driver is approached once again by Hernandez. The boy explains that even though inmates are free to do almost anything inside, none of them dare to escape. Anyone who tries is executed on the spot. Even Javi himself is only allowed to leave the prison for a few hours at a time, and after that, he must return. Hernandez also reveals that Javi runs his criminal empire with the help of his younger brother, Caracas, and his cousin, Carnal. During their conversation, Hernandez suddenly admits that one day he plans to kill Javi to avenge his father's death.
I'm gonna kill him.
Okay.
Cigarette?
No, kid.
Despite being just a child, Hernandez is treated as someone special. Whenever other kids try to bully him, Javi's men immediately step in to protect him. Instead of feeling grateful for that protection, Hernandez secretly attempts to kill Javi with a piece of metal when he sees an opportunity. Luckily, the driver stops him before it is too late.
That's more than a toothpick you got there. What's your plan?
Fuck!
This raises an unsettling question. Why is Hernandez so important to the ruler of the prison? Could he be Javi's illegitimate child? After being pushed to explain, Hernandez finally tells the whole truth.
Is that guy Javi your father? Is that why they protect him, huh?
He killed my father! Javi needed a new liver.
His parents were imprisoned for dealing drugs when he was only 7 years old. At first, his father worked for Javi, but one day he was murdered so his liver could be taken. Javi suffers from a rare illness and needs a liver transplant every few years. The problem is that only one person out of hundreds of thousands is a suitable match. Hernandez happens to be one of them. That is why he is so valuable to Javi. This also explains why every new prisoner has their blood forcibly taken to check whether their organs might be compatible.
That's why they took my blood.
Bingo, gringo. He has my father's liver. I want to cut it out and bury it with my dad.
Once Hernandez finishes sharing his past, it is the driver's turn. He reveals that he used to serve as a sniper in the military. Later in life, he was sent to prison for assaulting his own father. He did it to protect his mother, who had been suffering from years of abuse. After understanding each other's stories, the two decide to work together. As a first step, Hernandez is tasked with secretly listening to Javi's conversations. Any information could prove useful later. At the same time, Jack continues investigating how the driver ended up in a Mexican prison. His search leads him to Vasquez and his men, who are openly spending the stolen money from the robbery. This raises another mystery. Who was the real victim of the driver's robbery, and why was the case never reported? Vasquez himself also starts questioning the origin of the money he has been enjoying. Just days earlier, 2 of his men who shared the loot were found dead. Even under heavy threats, the driver still refuses to say a single word.
Listen, you fucking gringo.
They'll be coming to get you two first.
You have no diarrhea, Julia!
Before long, the driver starts running out of money and is forced to rob again. This time, he targets Carnal, one of Javi's trusted men. But first, the guards need to be dealt with, so Hernandez is sent in to create a distraction.
You ever been fishing?
Never been out of this joint.
No?
After the robbery, the driver is pulled aside by Hernandez's mother for a private talk. It turns out the boy has already told her everything about their plan to take down Javi. As a mother, she feels relieved knowing someone is finally willing to protect her child. Because of that, she and the driver quickly grow close.
We're not going to let that happen, are we?
Meanwhile, Carnal panics when Caracas shows up. The rent money that was supposed to be delivered to Javi has vanished. This is a serious problem, especially since Carnal is known for skimming money from his boss. When he claims he was robbed, Caracas does not believe him and assumes it is just another excuse.
Aquí hay dos que tres malillas.
Chingados pedimos ese puesto.
Nomás que el negocio es de la familia.
That is when Carnal begins to suspect that Hernandez's earlier actions were not a coincidence. He storms into the boy's home and begins torturing him relentlessly while ordering his men to hunt down the driver. From the start, they have suspected the two of working together. Fortunately, the driver is always alert. The moment he senses danger, he heads straight to the restroom and retrieves the weapon he hid there earlier. At the same time, Carnal plans to vent his rage by assaulting Hernandez's mother. Suddenly, Caracas arrives. Instead of backing down, Carnal completely loses control and even tries to kill his own cousin. That is when the driver steps in and shoots Carnal dead. Even though Carnal was clearly in the wrong, Javi still defends him. Carnal's mother is Javi's beloved aunt, so in Javi's eyes, whoever killed Carnal must be punished, no matter the reason. As the driver is about to be executed, he manages to change Javi's mind. He explains that he saved Javi's brother and also spared the child whose organs Javi planned to take. That revelation is enough to calm Javi's anger. Just as one problem ends, another begins. Later that day, Jack calls with shocking news. He has tracked down the corrupt police officer who stole the driver's money. Even worse, Jack has discovered where the money originally came from. It belongs to a powerful mafia boss. Jack plans to leak this information. If that happens, the mafia boss will surely send someone into the prison to kill the driver. Not only that, they will also go after Vasquez to reclaim the stolen cash. To prevent all of this, the driver approaches Caracas and proposes a deal. Caracas explodes in anger when he learns that a corrupt cop dared to throw someone into prison without paying tribute.
2 million, maybe a little more. They took a sizable amount of money. Two cops, Vasquez and Romero. Look, I think a finder's fee would be fair. I don't need much, 10% maybe.
He immediately sends two of his men to confront Vasquez. Unfortunately, before they arrive, unknown attackers capture and torment them. When the stolen money is finally gathered and counted, it turns out much of it is missing. Vasquez insists it is not entirely his fault. As far as he knows, the driver only stole $2 million. However, the mafia boss, Frank, claims that another $2 million is still unaccounted for. In the middle of the interrogation, Caracas's men suddenly burst in open fire, killing everyone inside.
Hey, Mr. Vasquez. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Frank has a long history with Javi. Even though their territories are separated by national borders, that does not stop him from seeking revenge. The next day, Frank sends 3 more men to kill the driver. To gain access to the prison, they use Jack as a middleman.
Son tres.
That afternoon, while the driver is spending time with Hernandez's mother, the 3 hitmen suddenly launch their attack. Fortunately, Caracas arrives moments later, and a violent shootout breaks out. Once the chaos ends, Javi immediately arrests the guards who betrayed him and executes them on the spot for allowing enemies to enter the prison.
He was better known as Pancho Villa.
At first, the driver is also marked for death. However, he quickly proposes a deal. Instead of hiring assassins to eliminate his business rival Frank, Javi can simply sit back and let the driver handle it himself. In return, the driver asks for his freedom and some basic equipment before the mission. Javi agrees without hesitation and provides everything he needs, including a vehicle, fake identities, weapons, and more. Using his connections, Javi even manages to smuggle the driver out of the prison. Meanwhile, the recent gunfight draws government attention. Within 2 days, authorities plan to demolish the prison and transfer all inmates to a new facility. Around 2,000 police officers will be deployed to secure the operation. If that happens, Javi will lose his chance to forcibly take Hernandez's liver. Rather than waiting another year, he decides to move forward with the transplant before the prison is destroyed. Luckily, this plan accidentally reaches Hernandez's mother. Acting fast, she hides her son in a secret location.
I'll take better care of this one. We have to do this as soon as possible.
At the same time, the driver begins setting a trap for Frank. Disguised as a famous artist, he contacts a wealthy tanker ship owner named Kaufman. Thanks to a flawless performance, he convinces the billionaire to meet the following morning.
All the proceeds are going to the Stroke Association.
Well, it sounds interesting. You'll make my day.
However, after leaving the prison, the driver notices two unknown men tailing him. He assumes they are Javi's operatives. To deal with them, he stops at a convenience store and buys a burger, then secretly stuffs it into the exhaust pipe of their car. When the vehicle stalls on the road, the driver eliminates them easily from a distance with a precise long-range shot. Once the situation is clear, the driver makes another call. This time, he contacts the mafia boss through Frank's lawyer while posing as Kaufman. His goal is to lure Frank to a specific location the next morning by offering a lucrative criminal partnership. Without hesitation, the lawyer rushes to Frank's residence to deliver the good news.
He wants to do business with us, Frank.
The Warren Kaufman.
We don't build ships, do we? Tomorrow morning.
Elsewhere, Hernandez's mother endures relentless torment throughout the night. Javi grows increasingly desperate after failing to locate Hernandez. Suddenly, the boy reappears and stabs himself in the stomach, hoping to make his body unusable for Javi's plans. Sadly, his sacrifice fails. Doctors manage to save his life. In short, the next morning, the driver meets Mr. Kaufman while pretending to be a celebrity's assistant. Not long after, Frank arrives at the location with his lawyer. By sheer coincidence, Kaufman's assistant allows them inside, assuming Frank is part of the same group as the driver. However, before anyone goes in, the driver has already drugged Kaufman. What makes this even more ironic is that Frank has never actually seen the driver's face before. Thinking back, it makes sense. Since the driver wore a mask during the robbery, all he needs to do now is walk away and throw 2 grenades, wiping out the mafia group in seconds.
Mr. Kaufman's just in the restroom. He should be out in a minute. Hey.
Just like that, a powerful mafia boss is eliminated. With that done, the driver turns his attention back to the prison to reclaim his stolen money. On the way, he makes a brief stop to get revenge on Jack, who is casually relaxing with a woman at the time. It is during this moment that the driver learns about the prison shutdown operation scheduled for later that night. If the lockdown happens, he will lose any chance of getting back inside to retrieve his money. Because of that, before leaving, he takes Jack's badge and prepares to disguise himself once again as a member of the embassy. Soon, the long-awaited moment arrives. Thousands of police officers surround the prison, ready to storm it. Even so, Javi stubbornly pushes forward with his plan. To keep the police at bay, he has dozens of armed guards prepared. Thanks to his disguise, the driver manages to enter the conflict zone. Before his money can be taken by someone else, he boldly heads straight into the ruler's headquarters. The gunfight between Javi's men and the police is still raging around him. At first, the driver plans to use the chaos to recover his money. Then he remembers the promise he made to Hernandez. As soon as an opening appears, he heads straight into the operating room. The driver overpowers Caracas and forces him to release Hernandez's mother. He already expects Caracas to take him hostage, so he prepares a counter-move in advance. He instructs the nurse assisting with the operation to pretend to aim a gun at him. When Caracas reacts, the driver immediately shoots and kills him. After that, the driver and Hernandez's mother disguise themselves as nurses. From the beginning, Javi has bribed senior prison officials to prepare an ambulance for his escape. The driver takes advantage of that plan, using the ambulance to get out safely while carrying all the bags filled with his money.
Thank you, Marina.
The next day, the driver heads to the dumping site to collect the remaining money from the robbery. It turns out the cash has been hidden inside a car trunk the entire time. None of the officers ever checked it, because they were too focused on the money found on the passenger seat. Meanwhile, Mr. Kaufman is furious over what happened the day before and hires 2 hitmen to track the driver down. Ironically, from the very beginning, the driver has been using someone else's identity. As a result, that innocent person becomes the real target instead. As for the driver, he is finally free to relax. He retires with his fortune and enjoys a quiet life on a tropical island. far away from all the chaos and violence he left behind. So the moral of the story is if you are calm, patient, and good at pretending to be someone else, you can survive prison, outsmart mafia bosses, and retire rich. But maybe just get a normal job instead.